These two little guys come all the way from Australia, and they are just, do I dare say it, so fluffy.
Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog for Monday, April the 22nd, 2024. And yep, we're back from Australia, and we brought something else back with us. We're both sick. Me especially, and I never get sick. It's either a really bad cold or it's the big C, COVID. Not sure. I mean, I'm not having trouble breathing, but I'm having trouble sleeping, a lot of coughing. I've got about 3 different drugs in my system right now to keep me from coughing through this episode. And yeah, and I just feel tired. Well, mainly because I'm not sleeping, and on top of that all, jet lag from getting back from Australia. And jet lag, I have found, the last time I went to Australia, when you come home is worse than when you go somewhere. And especially if it's a long distance trip like to Australia, you have the effects of jet lag for a good week or even longer. I think the last time we went to Australia and we came home, we did not feel quite right for about 2 weeks after we got home. Yeah. So anyways, but this thing that I've got, I don't know. We've got some COVID tests here, so I think I'm going to do a COVID test. If it is COVID, then I'm going to try to get the antiviral shot. You have to get that within 4 days of testing positive. So we'll see. I'm hoping it's just a bad cold. But for now, I'm keeping myself isolated from other people because you never know. Canceled some appointments, changed them, whatnot. I had a dentist appointment this morning. Not that I'm not disappointed in that, but I called them up and canceled it because I said I really have this thing and I don't be spreading it through your office. So I rescheduled that for a couple of weeks into the future. Was supposed to go out for lunch with a friend who has been diagnosed and taking treatments for cancer. And I definitely didn't want to not give her anything at all because I am sure her immune system is very, very compromised because that's what happens when you're going through treatments for cancer. And I may have to cancel my hair appointment, and that's the saddest thing of the whole bit. That's on Thursday. It'll be 4 weeks on Thursday since I had my hair cut, and it drives me nuts, but I'm not giving this to my hairdresser. So, yeah. So you might be seeing, me with a little longer hair, sort of that pandemic look that I definitely had when I hadn't got my hair cut for a good 2 months or more in that. Shaggy DA, doggy, whatever you want to call it. Okay, enough about me. Let's get on with this. All right, so current projects. Well, it's more like projects coming up. To be honest, I'm very lethargic today. I really don't want to work on anything. I just want to curl up on the couch under a quilt and see if I can get some sleep, because that's the biggest problem with this. I have not been able to sleep since we got home from Australia, and it is definitely taking its toll on me. So what I do have planned coming up, I've got 3 quilts I need to get onto Lucy and get them quilted. I wanted to create a new pattern based on something I saw in Australia, but it's not working out. I don't know if it's because my brain is fuzzy right now or what. So I'm just putting that on hold. And I've got a whole bunch of new ideas for 3D prints, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. Okay, so that's about it for me and things I want to do. Right now, I just want to go to sleep. Okay, YouTube channel of the week. While we were in Australia, there was an event, well, not an event, a news story. I guess a woman had her in-laws over for dinner and she killed them. She fed them beef Wellington made with wild mushrooms, and the wild mushrooms turned out to be something called death heads. Very dangerous, toxic mushroom, and definitely a killer. She's trying to claim that she didn't know that. She likes to forage, and she had used these mushrooms many times before. She didn't know that she got them mixed up or whatever. But the funny thing was, she didn't get sick and die, and neither did her children, just her in-laws. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? But anyways, there's a trial going on right now, or a case going on in Australia about that. But I did happen to come across a video by another Australian, Anne Reardon. She does sort of a cooking science type YouTube show. And if you've never seen it, look her up, Anne Reardon. How to Cook That is what it's called. And she did a whole thing on poisonous foods, on poisonous mushrooms. And it's very, very interesting. So if you're a forager, you need to check out this YouTube video. So I'm going to put my little review of it in here for you. Sorry, hiccups.
This week's YouTube channel is about mushrooms and death. While we were in Australia, we heard a news report about a lady who served her in-laws beef Wellington, and she had used wild mushrooms in the recipe, and her in-laws died because she used the wrong kind of wild mushrooms. Now, there's a whole lot more to that story, and it's actually is being looked at as a homicide. However, I found this particular YouTube channel by Anne Reardon, who is an expert in food preparation, cooking, and the science behind food, and I've reviewed her channel many times before. She did a whole very interesting report on wild mushrooms and why they can kill you. So if you're a mushroom lover, and if you're one of those kind of people that likes to go out and forage for mushrooms, then you're going to want to see this because it's very informative. So the link for it is in the show notes below.
So you will find the link for Anne Reardon's video about poisonous mushrooms in the show notes below. You'll also find my contact information. You'll find the link for Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen. And we're back to the other link. When I was away, Stephanie took over and she created a different link for it. There's a reason for that, but I'm not going to get into it right now. Excuse me. And so we're back to the original link, which many of you that come on a regular basis to Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen have copied it down somewhere. And it's the link that ends in 9016. But if you're new to it or can't find that, it's here in the show notes below. So that's the one to use. If you have the one that Stephanie's been using for the last 3 weeks, do not use that because it won't go anywhere. And there's my announcement for the spring retreat. For those of you that have not heard about my spring retreat, but you might be very new, it is filling up really fast. I opened it on Saturday at 9 a.m. By the end of Saturday, I had 60-some registrations. I am now up to 84. That gives me 12 spots open. Now, don't despair if you've been a procrastinator and you decide now that, yes, you want to come, and I write back to you and tell you, I'm sorry, it's full. I will put you on a waiting list if you wish to be put on the waiting list. And if somebody drops out, I will put you in that spot. And there is usually a few people that, because life happens, have to drop out. And as soon as they let me know, then I fill in their spot with somebody on the waiting list. So right now, 12 free spots. If you've been thinking about it, make up your mind, because those spots will be gone, I suspect, by tomorrow or even the middle of the week. So yeah. Okay, and there's links for all my friends' YouTube channels there as well. And I've also created a playlist for all the videos that we created while we were in Australia. It's called Stephen and Walter in Australia 2024. And it has all the videos in that one spot for you if you're interested. If you missed some of the episodes, or if you're new and you want to see a few things about Australia, then those are all there for you. Okay, so what's pissing me off this week? Well, it has to do with Australia and us in Canada. And and probably the States as well, but more so in Canada. And that's customer service. People who wait on you in stores or wait on you in restaurants. Our wait staff, our service people here in my country could learn a thing or two from the Australians. The Australians do things a little bit differently, and it will throw you off. When you first go into a restaurant in Australia, you might be sitting at a table and no one's coming over to wait on you, because what you have to do is you go up to the bar, usually it's a bar, or a cash counter or whatever, and there'll be menus sitting up there. You grab a menu, you can go back to your table and look it over and decide what you want to eat. Then you go back up to the bar and you order your foods, you order your drinks, you pay for it right then and there. They will give you a number, or the tables may be numbered, and you tell them the table you're sitting at, and they will bring you your food when it's ready. They don't, in most restaurants, come up to you and say, what would you like, and all that kind of thing. Now, there's some advantages to this. It's a little strange for us in North America to do that. We only do that when it's a McDonald's kind of a thing, right? Fast food. But there are some advantages to this. One, you don't have anybody hovering over you. You can take all the time in the world you want to decide on what you want to eat. You know what I mean. The waitress comes back to you, gives you your menus, gives you about 30 seconds, come back standing there. What would you like? And you feel pressure, right? I usually send them away until I'm ready. But, you feel a little bit of pressure. Well, you don't have that in the way they do it in Australia. Also, what's really annoying is when you're finished dinner in the whole bed and suddenly your wait person is nowhere to be seen. And you want to pay and you want to get out. This is especially bad if you've got it timed with something else. Maybe you're going to the theater and you're having dinner first or whatever. And so you usually end up having to chase down the waiter or the waitress. Not in all cases, but it's happened. I'm sure everybody's experienced that at least once in their life. Not in Australia. You've already paid for it. Another advantage of ordering food in Australia is the price you see on the menu is the price you're going to pay. There is no tipping in Australia, which feels very weird for us in North America because, in North America we tip for everything, especially in the States. Canadians are not big tippers. We still do, but we're not known for our generosity in that regard. Excuse me. And the tax is all included in that price you see. So if you order a hamburger and it's $20, that's the price you're going to pay, $20. And I like that. I really do. Now, why don't you tip in Australia? Because they're very well paid. Their minimum wage in Australia is something like $23.30 an hour, whereas our minimum wage in Ontario is $15 an hour. And wait people may make slightly less than that. So yeah, tips are here to, offset their salary as well. But in Australia, it's not. And the wait staff do not expect you to tip them. So yeah, I really like that. Everything's up front. You don't have to worry about it. But the other thing that I want to compare it to is the quality of the service. Our service here where I live in Canada sucks. In many cases, the wait staff in a restaurant are there like they're doing you a favor. They get your order, they disappear. You never know where they've gone. They might come back after they bring your food and say, what's that first bite? How's that first bite? Oh, I hate that expression. How's that first bite? I don't know. I haven't had it yet. Let me bite you and find out. It annoys me for some reason because that is like a rote question. I wonder what they would do if I turn around and says, this is shit. They would probably be very shocked because they ask that question a million times a day because management has told them they have to. And if somebody suddenly gives them the answer they're not expecting, because most of them would say, it's fine, thank you. Toodle off. In Australia, they don't do that. But if you have a complaint about something, you can go up to the counter or whatever. And sometimes the people from behind the counters are out circulating around, cleaning tables and they'll make it right for you. The staff is very friendly in most cases. Never ran into one serving person that didn't have a smile on their face and were not accommodating. Not here in Canada, no. And this goes for the stores too. They're right there to serve you and help you out. They don't just put you off and say, yeah, it's probably down that aisle somewhere. They will help you out. Again, in the States, I found that similar to this in the States. In the Walmart, anyways, I was in Georgia at New Year's time. they couldn't have been more helpful and more friendly. In our Walmart in our area, yeah, you're lucky one if you find anybody on the floor to ask a question to. And if you do, they will just say, I don't know. It might be in aisle 3, aisle 4. I don't know. It's like the one in the States comparing that to. They took me down the aisle, showed me exactly where it was, took me right to the item, and then asked me, is there anything else I can help you with? Yeah, well, that's very much the way it is in Australia, too. They're very friendly. I don't know why in Canada, at least in my area, why they're so miserable in their job. If you don't like your job, get a different one. I don't know. Um, I also think it might be because these companies here in Ontario are not paying them well. In Australia, you're paid well. And I don't know if they get benefits or anything, but I think they do. I think they do have a benefits package. I guess it depends on where you work, maybe. But a lot of these workers in grocery stores, in department stores, and that here, they don't necessarily have any kind of benefits. So, yeah, maybe they are miserable because of that. If you treat your employees well, if you pay them a good wage, I think you're going to have that return to you twofold, fourfold, because you've created a work staff that's happy to come into work every day. And if your work staff is happy, you're going to have happy customers. I think Australia has that down. So, yeah, that's something I want to talk to you about. I've always said the Australian people, as far as I've experienced them, are all very nice, very friendly, very opinionated, very, they're not as politically correct as we are. And I find that very refreshing because I think we're too politically correct in this country, anyways. And I think that's why I like going to Australia. It's the people. It's the people. Okay. Not usually one of my usual rants, but yeah, I don't have the energy. Okay. So, what's up with the grow lights? Nothing. Nothing to show you at all because they're empty. Walter cleaned them all out. You know, we had that little gnat problem. So he got everything cleaned out and we have to replant. And I don't know when we're doing it. I've been kind of bugging them and saying, okay, we got to get our lettuce crop in and our green onions and our basil, and that kind of stuff. Because we're getting up to the point where, in another month, hopefully, we'll be able to start planting our container garden on our deck again. So anyways, there's nothing to show you under the 3D lights. So what's the weather been like? Well, the weather here is a far cry from what the weather is in Australia. While we were in Australia, it was warm. Now they're into fall weather right now because they're flip-flop to us in North America. And they are complaining that they had to get out their winter clothes. They had to put on long sleeves and long pants. You could tell that we were tourists because we're walking around the streets in shorts and sandals. Of course, it was like 21, 22 on the days when it was a little cooler. And yeah, for us, that's balmy, but not for the Australians. Now you can see today our temp is supposed to go up to 12 degrees and then 14 tomorrow and then 10 on Wednesday. And that's pretty good. But right now the current temperature at 9 o'clock in the morning is 3 degrees C. But if you look over to the side panel, Brisbane's at 18, which is not hot, but it's nice, it's comfortable. And Sydney's at 16, a little cooler. So, still really nice weather. But remember, that's fall weather for the Australians. And I heard while we were away that the weather was not particularly nice here. It was kind of drizzly, cold, wet, and the whole bit. And even the other day, we were out to get some groceries. What was that, Friday, I think, before this came upon me. And it was sleeting. Yeah. It's April. I said we didn't have much of a winter this year in our area, but that's okay. Mother Nature makes up for it. If you didn't have the snow in January and February and March, you're going to get something in April and possibly into May. It has happened before. That's not uncommon. Yeah. So you don't want to start putting your flowers out until the 24th of May. For those of you Canadians, you know what my reference is. So that was always the rule. Don't put your flowers out until the 24th of May because the chance of a frost before the 24th of May is still possible. And you go out there and you spend a lot of money on flowers and they die. A few years ago, the neighbors next door, they buy a lot of flowers, very nice flowers. They have a beautiful backyard, beautiful front lawn, and they were a little premature one year. They put out all these beautiful flowers, and guess what? We got frost. I don't think it killed all of their plants, but it killed enough of them, and plants aren't cheap. So that's why the rule, don't put your flowers out until the 24th of May. Okay, so that takes me to the 3D corner, and I'm changing the name of the 3D corner to something new here. Can I print this 3D effing thing? I am challenging my printers and myself to print things that are a little bit more complicated, with the understanding that they probably will fail, but maybe they will work. And I'm going to show you an example of what I'm talking about. This cylinder. Well, this isn't a cylinder. This is what's called a print in place, which means it printed this whole thing in one go. It took a few hours, but printed it in one go, and it's a slinky. Yes, I can make slinkies. Now, you're going to say, right, actually, I made another one too, in sort of purpley blue. This one was made on one of my older printers, but it's a printer that has the automatic leveling system that I installed on it and the new plate, the new bed plate, magnetic one. This one was printed on my brand new printer, which is a little bit more sophisticated. I pretty much figured that the new printer probably, wasn't sure, but probably could handle doing this. Because you see, this is how it prints. It has to have a very, very fine tolerance rate in order for these to separate. Otherwise, they'd be one block. And that worked really well. This one was, as I said, done on the one with the automatic leveling system, and I wouldn't have been surprised if that hadn't worked. But it did. So I'm really pleased with that. It means that the automatic levelers on the older printers are working very well because I did not change any settings when I made that in the slicer. And yeah, so that means I can do more complicated prints, and I'm going to. So I don't know what I'm going to make for next week. If I get around to it, I have some ideas, but I'm just going to keep those to myself for now. But that's what the 3D print corner is going to be now. Sort of a challenge to myself. Can I make it? It's time to really push the bar, or raise the bar, kind of a thing. So I did do a little video showing you the process of making that slinky and my little experiment with the slinky, because what's one of the most favorite things people did with a slinky when you were a kid? Make it walk downstairs. So I want to see if I could make my slinkies walk downstairs. So here's the little video clip I created.
So on this week's edition is of Can I 3D Print That Effing Thing? I made what looks like a cylinder right here. This took about 5 hours to print. However, it is not a cylinder. It is a slinky. A slinky. And I'm going to show you how it works. Okay, so just like the slinkies, the original slinkies made out of metal, you can do this with it. You can stretch it. You can dice it out. But the ultimate test of a slinky, which was always why everybody wanted a slinky when I was a kid, was the ability to have it walk downstairs. So let's try that out. Okay, the ultimate test of this print. Will this plastic slinky walk down the stairs? Well, let's see. Well, not bad, but I've made it do it better. I'm going to try this again. Maybe possibly because my stairs are covered in carpet as well, but let's see. No, I can get it. It's hard to do it when I've got one hand on the camera. Let's try it up here. Oops, I know you can't see that. Shoot. Okay, I'm gonna have to do this from a different angle. Okay, here we go. I can do better. Okay, I can do better. Shoot. I got it to do it the very first time. It worked great. Why can't I do it this time? Bloody hell. These stairs aren't right. There we go. Well, that's pretty good, but it did work better the first
Else
time.
I'm not going to have anymore on the vlog. Blasts from the past trips. I was showing my past videos of Australia for quite a while, for like about a year and a half. Maybe it's been 2 years. I don't know when I started that. Now you have a whole new slew of videos, and a lot of you were following the videos while we made them and posted them in Australia. I think you're Australia to death. Okay? Let's face it. I love it. Maybe you don't. So I'm not going to do those. What am I going to replace it with? I have no idea. To be honest, I've been thinking about combining my vlog with the Idiot Quilter episodes. But the Idiot Quilter episodes are more focused on quilting, whereas the vlog is a little bit more general. So, yeah, maybe I won't do that. So, I don't know what another segment is that I could put in here. Maybe you have some ideas of what you'd like me to talk about or show you or something like that. That would fit in the vlog category. Not anything about sewing or quilting. That's for the Idiot Quilter. But something else here. And be reasonable about it. Like, show me how to build a house. No, because I can't do that, because I don't know how. You know what I mean. That kind of stuff. But I am open to suggestions and ideas. Okay, events in the past week. Well, I was going to get back to my routine. And when I was in Australia, I do this on every trip. On my phone, I have a little app for notes. Actually, it's something that I think it's on everybody's iPhone, if you have an iPhone. And I use that app a lot for all kinds of things. Shopping lists, anything that I want to remember, I'll write it down in that because it's always with me. Well, I started a list of things to do when I get home from Australia. I always get these brilliant ideas while I'm somewhere else. I see something that attracts my attention. I want to make this, or I want to get this, or whatever. So I had a list of about 20 things. Bit ridiculous. And I've been through the list, and I did, within the first couple of days being home, got most of those things done. I still have a few other things on there. But then suddenly, this happened. This, whatever this is that I've got. And suddenly my mojo and my energy just went. I mean, right now I'm kind of pushing myself to do this. But I almost thought of canceling, not doing this today. But nope. I'm not canceling. So, yeah. So, there wasn't much this week, except with the opening of the registrations for the Idiot Quilter Spring Retreat 2024. And I've already talked about that. And I'll probably be talking about that again tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter. But as I said, it's filling up fast. And the next thing I have to do now is start putting together the paperwork that I send out to everybody that has signed up for the retreat, which includes the Zoom links for the icebreaker cocktail party on the Friday night and for the retreat itself, a link for my second pattern, which is absolutely free, that people signed up for the retreat will be able to have. I will be making it available to other people after the retreat, but I'm letting the retreat people have it first. So I have to get that all together. I have to check up on my presenters to make sure everything's going fine there, and I'm pretty much sure it probably is, because the retreat's only 2 weeks away, and there's still lots of work to do. And I have a lot of other things that I need to do too. So I'm sitting here today thinking, do I push myself? Do I just suck it up and get to work? Or do I wrap myself in a quilt and sit in front of the boob tube all day? Or, try to sleep? I don't know. Not sure which way I'm going here. So anyways, oh, poor me, play the little violin. Yeah, I'm a baby. And I know what the women are thinking. Yeah, men. Men are just big babies when they're sick. Well, maybe we are. But women always talk about, the pain of childbirth and how horrible that was. And yet, they do it again and again. So I really don't trust your opinion about who's the bigger baby, men or women. I think it's more or less the individual. I try not to be a baby, but I'm the kind of person that gets very angry when I'm sick, because I'm angry with myself for getting sick. I'm angry with myself because I don't want to be sick and I want to get things done. And that pisses me off. Yeah. But anyways, hopefully, I'm going to do a COVID test today. Hopefully it's just a bad cold. I haven't had one in a long time, so I probably due for one. I haven't had a cold since way before the pandemic. So I'm hoping that's all that it is. The symptoms of COVID, a fever, I don't have one. Sweating a lot, don't have that. Aches and pains, I always have aches and pains, so that's nothing new. Sore throat, not really. The cough, yes. And the cough is bad. The cough is bad. Right now, I've taken Benadryl. I've taken Tylenol for sinuses. I've shot Otrivin up my nose. So that's why I am not coughing out a lung right now. And last night I had a little bit of, what do they call it? Marijuana oil that's in a capsule. Okay. It's legal here in Canada, because I needed to sleep. And it helped. And you've heard me talk about gummies. Well, we're out of gummies. And gummies are expensive. They didn't used to be when Walter used to get them, but that was sort of kind of before it was legal. He bought them online. It wasn't like he went to a black market person, but it was a medicinal place out in BC, actually. Mail ordered them. It was surprising we got them. And they were delicious. I love those gummies. Those would have been, just knock out the THC in them, they'd be just a great candy. But out of those. So he gave me these other ones he's had, and he's had them for a while, so I'm not sure, do they lose their potency? And apparently they were only about half the strength of the gummy bears. I only took one because I didn't want to wake up in a stupor this morning. I think I may take 2 tonight, because what happened was I woke up at about 4 o'clock in the morning, which was an improvement, because I've been waking up around, I go to bed at 10, I wake up at 2, and that's it. I'm wide awake, hacking up along. So, yeah. So we'll see. Enough. I wasn't going to talk about this, but I am talking about it. I hope everybody out there's feeling okay. All right, let's see. What's coming up? Well, sewing with Stephanie and Stephen, Wednesday. I plan to be there. I may be a lump, but I plan to be there. And you can't catch anything. That's the beauty of virtual things, right? You could have a horrible disease and nobody else is going to get it. You can't get it through the screen. I've already talked about spring retreat, and yeah, nothing else coming up this week. Things are a little bit on hold. Okay, so I hope you're feeling good. I hope the weather's getting better where you're living and we can get some nice warm spring weather. And yeah, and if you haven't signed up for the retreat yet, you snooze, you lose. Get on with it. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow on Idiot Quilter. Bye for now.